really privileged to be here again and bring to this my sort of nonfiction style of writing, although I think good history writing is very imaginative and inspiring and has the same real heart to it that good creative writing fiction would have. And just also wanted to mention in a preamble kind of way that I am passionate to get at how history has been written and bring it in front of people and let them see how we've been steered wrong, how we've been influenced by people speaking who were not properly informed. And it raises for me the whole issue of education and certainly all the themes that we associate with Martin Luther King get back down to education, how we learn to get along. So my little 5-minute talk is on fear and hate. While doing research on Ancestry.com, I found a document that illustrates the clash of cultures and the deep-seated misunderstandings between Native Americans and European settlers on the Virginia frontier. I've been wondering what happened to captives who were adopted into native tribes and who later came back to live in Virginia. This narrative, written in 1902, offers some surprising clues. Quote, "A little girl named Betsy Henry, while living with her family in Pennsylvania, was captured by Indians and taken west of the Ohio River at what date is unknown. Betsy Henry grew up amongst the Indians and, being treated kindly, became strongly attached to them. This was not uncommon. The Indians, though cruel in war, were not without some good traits, and certainly had the art of winning the love of their juvenile captives. This young girl, on arriving at womanhood, became the wife of a young chief of the Delaware, who is said to have been a half-breed French and Indian. At length the time arrived for Betsy Henry's return to civilized life in 1767, and she came with her husband and others to Fort Pitt, where by treaty all the white prisoners were to be delivered up, having lived with the Indians 14 years. James Henry, Betsy's brother, was at the rendezvous to meet her, but she refused to leave her Indian associates. Her brother, however, represented that her mother could not die in peace without seeing her, and she finally consented to come for a visit, he promising to take her back. James Henry did not comply with his promise, if he made one, and the unfortunate woman grieved till she died. Her husband had not forgotten her. The attachment between them is said to have been mutual and ardent. As she did not return to him, he came in search of her to escort her back to their wilderness home. But her brothers detained her, and the chief left with the declared intention of resigning his office he held in his tribe and returning to reside among the whites. An Indian can give no stronger proof of attachment to his wife. He was not heard of afterwards, and it is supposed that his wife's brothers pursued and killed him." Wow, that's end quote. Wow, what a story. What does it say about fear and hate, and about the rigid notions of class and gender and race? What does it say about family values? Or about a woman's right to marry and to live with her husband? Waddell, author of Annals of Augusta County, tried to explain to his readers about the context of the event. That's what historians do. Of what a judge and jury today might call a hate crime. He continued, quote, "If they did," in other words, if her brothers did kill the chief, we should not judge their act by present standards. The dreadful Indian Wars had just ended, during which every white man had learned to regard the Indians as foes, to be ruthlessly exterminated like wild beasts. When, therefore, the question seemed to be whether a sister or an Indian should be sacrificed, it is not surprising that the latter alternative was chosen." End quote. This sad passage makes me wonder what a Native American might say today. What do our history teachers say about the violence on the frontier or the clash of cultures? I can only hope that current teaching is considerably more balanced and compassionate. Waddell, far from criticizing the mob mentality of James Henry or his brothers, went on to edify his readers with a few more details about Betsy Henry's daughter. Quote, "The child of Betsy Henry, called Sally Henry, was reared by her Uncle James. She became the wife of William Alexander, son of William Alexander, who died in 1829, and grandson of Robert Alexander, the first classical teacher in the Valley. Many of the descendants of William and Sally Henry Alexander are among the most respectable people of the Valley and elsewhere." End quote. Respectable people with some skeletons in their closet.